we are going to dive into some of these other film shots that we didn't really see in some of the other lessons. We're going to be taking a look at this American Film Institute resource guide here. It's kind of like a toolkit. It's very, very great PDF. It's a PDF that's on Canvas, so you can access it on Canvas. Also, usually I keep some printed out in class as well. And what's great here is we're mainly going to focus on, it's like page 10 through 20, something like that. And what this packet shows is, it's kind of like I said, like it's a toolkit. It shows a lot of these different film shots that we could potentially use. And it has a nice little explanation about maybe what you'd use those film shots for. So again, we're just going to cover a few of these and a couple little tidbits of information. I want to let you know on how to do them, when you'd use them, those types of things. So the first one is the boom shot. And if you look at this picture here, that is called a boom. Now, we don't have a big device like that. Like, you could maybe make something like that, or maybe tape your phone or connect it to like a long pipe or something. There's ways you can do it. But for us in class, if you're going to do something like this, basically what it is you're moving the camera, and I think they more so think vertically. And so what you can do is if you stick your arms out, and let's say you're starting low, for some reason something's happening low, and then you bring your arms up, that would essentially be, for us, our version of a boom shot. Close-up. Close-up we've talked about, or maybe you've seen in other lessons. It's kind of obvious what a close-up shot is, but I do want to emphasize it because it is the one that tends to be on the weaker side that I see with students, just in terms of they really forget or neglect to use the close-up shot. It's an awesome shot to bring your viewer's attention to the object that the character is interacting with. Like, let's say it's keys, or like a video game type commercial. Like, you want to show that player's hand on that video game controller, and then maybe you cut to their face or something, their reaction. So close-up shot, we're definitely going to be using these a lot in our film pieces. Dolly shot. Dolly shot is a fun one. I'm going to move this here. So dolly shot is basically the camera moving usually towards the action, along with the action, whatever the characters are doing. And if you see here, this would be an example of somebody doing a dolly shot. They actually lay down like train tracks almost, and the camera goes along, it's like a dolly, follows along. So for us, we're not going to lay down tracks and do that type of thing. But what we can do is we can put, if you take your camera and you set it on like the top of a rolly chair or on a rolly chair, and then you push that rolly chair with the action. So that's a strategy of how you can do that. Extreme close-up, that's another one I want to mention because, again, I see students not using it enough. You know what extreme close-up is. It's not just of parts of humans like an eye or an ear, but it can be also an object. So again, if it's keys or video game controller, whatever, just some of these extreme close-ups or close-ups can really make things much more interesting. That's why I want to see you use them. So a follow shot is basically you're moving along with the character. You're not turning per se, but you're moving along with. So maybe if you're sitting in a chair and somebody's pushing you, or you're just very carefully walking sideways, that's one way that you can do a follow shot. It's really good if somebody's walking and you want to see what's behind them or what they're walking to. That's a good thing. Or like a side view of them walking. That's what a follow shot's good for. A freeze frame. You've probably seen that in music videos or sports type movies. I think this is trying to show, like, let's say a soccer ball and he's about to hit it with his head, and boom, you just freeze the frame right there to emphasize the action that's going to happen. Or maybe sometimes it's at the end of a film. Maybe you see like people like it's the end of the film and everybody jumps and they're like, yeah, and then it stops right there. Like, that's an example of a freeze frame as well. So sometimes it can emphasize action. Sometimes it can be funny or cheesy, like that. You know, like a lot of times at the end of those 80s movies where they're like, yeah. Head-on shot. So a head-on shot this is showing like Star Wars TIE Fighter is coming towards you. So it's like the action is running towards you. It's running towards the camera. So if you're just holding the camera up and let's say you have a dog, pet, and your pet's running towards you, or a car's driving towards you, something like that, that's a head-on shot. High angle shot. So this is something that we're definitely going to want to do. We're not going to get ladders or something. You could do that at home if you wanted, but you can really just, if somebody's sitting in a chair, you could just be standing above them and have the camera above them angling down. So the big thing is with a high angle shot is that the camera is angling down at something. What I see students do a lot is they'll be trying to do, let's say, an eye level shot or somebody's talking, but maybe they're taller, so they're standing above them looking down. Which you don't want to do that if you're not intending to. The reason why, because a high angle shot, it makes the character in the frame kind of feel weaker, so just keep that in mind. And then the opposite of that is a low angle shot, and a low angle shot is just you're lower looking up. So if you look at my camera on my phone here, is I'm trying to angle it facing up. So I'm lower than something and I'm looking up. And usually what that does is that makes that object or character feel more powerful. So just keep that in mind when you're using those shots. It's an awesome shot to use. Point of view. POV, also called POV. If you play first-person shooters, you're very familiar with this view because that's your view in the game. You've probably seen people, or like from YouTube channels, whatever, like wearing like a head strap with a GoPro on their head. That gives you that point of view type of experience. So the purpose of point of view is to show the character's point of view. What is the character seeing and what are they doing? With your camera, what you can do is, a simple method is just hold it near your head. You can be walking around, looking, and just try and imagine that that thing is attached to your head. And that's where you're going. That's where the camera's looking. The over-the-shoulder shot is great for conversations. You'll see it a lot in movies when you have two people having a conversation, and when one person is talking, so for example in this picture here, this person's talking, and the focus is on them, but this person is in the foreground, and their shoulder and so on might be out of focus. So that's great for kind of going back and forth and transitioning through a conversation. A pan shot is when you start in one spot and then you turn on an axis. So I'm in a chair right now that spins, so I'm just spinning in my chair. You could probably do it away just standing as well. And this is really good if, let's say, some kind of action is happening on there, like right there, and that action moves now to over there, so now I want to see that. So it's just kind of a nice smooth transition. What's important is you don't want the camera to be shaky when you do that though. And then we have a tilt shot. A tilt shot is just, I'll do it sideways here so you can see it. You're just tilting your camera. That's it. And what's important, again, is to try and keep it nice and smooth. You don't want to be shaky when you're doing it. That's why, if you notice, that's why I'm keeping my elbows in and my arms tight to my body. It might look weird, look like a T-Rex kind of thing, but that allows you to keep some vibration out of your phone. So that was just some additional information. I wanted to go over some of the different types of shots that you will be using and can choose from when we're thinking about shots and using our toolkit here, because you are the designer and have to choose awesome shots to convey your story.